This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by American Helix. The American Helix is a revolutionary new concept in smoking technology. Designed and manufactured by American glassblowers, this pipe is light years ahead of its time. Based on Bernoulli's principle, the shape of the pipe along with an innovative intake system creates a Venturi effect through precision microholes in the chamber, which results in a slower burn that conserves tobacco and gives a smooth, refreshing smoking experience, making the American Helix the smoothest hitting pipe on the market. For further info or to locate their products, you can find them online at AmericanHelix.com. That's AmericanHelix.com. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Zen Glass Studios. Located in the heart of St. Petersburg, Florida, Zen Glass has a wide range of offerings to choose from. Their menu includes one-on-one or group classes in their hot shop or flameworking studio, create your own wine glass, and so much more. If you're a traveling artist, they even have a space to rent that you can temporarily call home. With over 50 years of combined experience, Zen Glass can help you fine-tune your techniques, whether you're a novice or advanced glass artist. For their calendar of events, including info about their Third Thursday studio jams, you can contact Zen at zenglass.com. That's zenglass.com. Hey, 3, 2, and 1. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 175. Oh my goodness, the more these numbers get higher, the more I'm like, holy shit. It's 175 episodes, man. Well, thanks for tuning in today. This is Jason Michael, your host, and today's guest is Topher. He goes by the original Topher on Instagram. You can find him out there. I'll have his links in the show notes as well. And Topher and I had a fun conversation. Him and I were introduced to each other via the Tournament of Fire that Cherry Glass and friends put on a couple months back. Him and I were paired head-to-head against each other, and he beat me in that tournament. I think it was by like 14 votes or some crazy shit. But him and I have connected and stayed friends and stayed in touch since then, and we've been trying to get him on. And after hurricanes and power outages and everything else in the process, I was finally able to make this happen, as it's my day off today, which I'm excited about, even though it's never really a day off, as we all know, as those that are self-employed never have a day off. Sometimes you just got to take one, though, and that ain't today. But yeah, so we had a fun conversation. He just got back from Melt as well, so we talked about that and some of the fun happenings out there in the glass community, what inspires his work. He does some really unique stuff in terms of his style and what he's going for that nobody else is doing, and I think it's really a unique and cool kind of conversation him and I have about the ideas of finding your voice in your work. Sometimes it comes from other people, and his inspirations for his work actually came from his girlfriend, and it's kind of funny how that works that way. Sometimes you see something one way, somebody sees it another way, and you end up going that other way. And I think it's a good lesson to learn to not be so focused and blinders up, to be able to be open to critique and inspiration from others outside of the glass community and friends, family, whatever, maybe a movie, a book you're reading, whatever it could be. So something just to take to heart while you're thinking about your work and throughout the day. And I hope you are having a good day melting glass, if you are melting glass while you're working and listening to this. And if not, you're in the car doing some working out, what have you. But yeah, I definitely hope you're enjoying your day and staying hydrated. I know here in Florida it's still summertime, even though it's officially now fall. But we are going to be cooling down here soon. And looking forward to that. Kind of some updates on myself. I am hemming and hawing on whether I'm going to be able to make it to Glass Roots. Time-wise, I had the whole week off. It's just come to a financial point with the hurricane coming through, I lost 3 days of work, and as well as had to restock food, fridge, the whole 9 yards. And I thought about doing a little. I do have our Patreon page, and I thought about doing maybe a fundraiser to help pay for my trip up there. It's kind of one of those weird things. I don't like asking for money per se, but I don't know. If you think that you may want to help donate to the cause to get my ass up to grassroots, let me know. Just get some feedback on that. It's only 2 weeks away. They have arrangements made for me, but really it's just getting up there. I do have a wedding I'm going to in Kentucky on the 7th of October, and then my daughter is actually going to be going with me to that, and then she's going to be going with me to Grassroots. And it's just we're going to be driving from Florida to Kentucky to Madison and then back south. And so just kind of something I was been thinking about. So I know I've said here several times, and I've told many people that we are making it, and then all of a sudden we get a fucking hurricane blows through the state and destroys everything. And so, yeah, kind of put some monkey wrenches into my life. But that being said, I'm not asking for handouts or anything like that, but I just figured I'd put that out there because, again, it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, just to help with helping me in terms of financially do things for the show. Because I do have a lot of dreams and ideas and concepts I want to be able to do, like traveling and doing studio works, like actually going to shops, interviewing the artists in person, doing some video work, some lessons, that kind of stuff. And all that stuff takes money and time. So figured I'd put that out there. But I'll keep you all posted. Stay tuned to my Instagram page. You can find me. My personal Instagram page is at jmichaelglass. The Instagram page for the podcast is at wiseguy_radio. And then if you want to see my functional work out there, my functional work page is called at My Functionals. Pretty simple. And if you're a glass artist, something to think about. I talked about with Chris Dickey a couple episodes back in terms of establishing an online catalog for yourself. And I was blown away that My Functionals was actually available. So if you're a glass artist and you already have your glass page, I know everybody likes to put glass at the end of their page, which I can understand and appreciate. But what if you did a separate Instagram page that was just your functional work, and actually you pulled all of your functional work off of your personal page, and that way you can show your followers what your life is like outside the studio, and then you can post teasers here and there, but then have them come follow your other page. Some things to think about in terms of marketing and taking advantage of social media, especially now with the ability to switch back and forth amongst accounts. I mean, shit, I have 5 Instagram accounts right now. I've got one for the podcast. I have one for my personal life stuff. I have a Disney page that I do. It's my glass. So I used to have it. I still do. I don't use it anymore, but it's still there. And then I have one for waffles called Tends to Waffle. And yeah, so I switch in between all of them all the time, and it's can be confusing at times, but it also gives us the ability to set up different accounts for different aspects of our life that we can share and really focus on one specific niche per se, like the waffle thing, for instance, or like doing my functionals page and just showing what my functional art looks like. And because of my personal page being open to the public, also with the dynamic of my job that I have, I really want to just kind of separate my functionals from that world in a sense. Some may not agree with it, some might, but for myself personally, it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. But also, again, it gives me a chance to have a functional page that I can leave as private. I can also monitor who's in and out of it. And the only people I'm going to be following on that page are shops. And that way I can tag shops and stuff or communicate with the shops a little easier. Especially when you're following, say, like 3,000 or 4,000 people on your personal page, it's not always easy to see everybody's feed. So, just some things to think about as I ramble on here about this whole thing. And, just some ideas about ways to take advantage of your social media. But in the meantime, don't forget that Mountain Glass is currently offering for the month of September 2017. You can get their Pyrex rod and tube on sale right now, 45% off. Excuse me. All you have to do is put in the code Pyrex, Pyrex. That's Pyrex brand glass at checkout. And for all you beautiful soft glass nerds out there, they have their Double Helix sale going on right now. 15% off on Double Helix glass. Just put in the code DHELIX at checkout, DHELIX, to receive 15% off. So again, they got Pyrex tube and rod on sale. Just put in the code Pyrex, 45% off. And for Double Helix rods, 15% off. Put in the code DHELIX. And then as a celebration, also October 29th, 2017, Mountain Glass is having their 15th anniversary party. They're having a Halloween costume contest. They're having some fun music and raffles and food and glass demonstrations. It is at the Savage Station in Asheville, North Carolina from 6:30 until 10 p.m. So be there or be square. That's something I'm going to be taking some time off work to go to. It's a little quick drive from my house, 12 hours, ain't really quick, but it's going to be a fun little drive up there. Good to see all my folks in Asheville, see Joe at Mountain Glass and all the other peeps up there who I love so much. I've been dealing with Mountain Glass for close to 15 years myself, and they are my number one favorite glass distribution company out there in terms of raw materials and supplies. So go check out Mountain Glass, mountainglass.com for any other questions, comments, concerns. And don't forget to get one of their new stickers they have out for their 15-year anniversary. It's a pretty badass little wiggy Mountain Glass sticker. So definitely check that out. So we got Glass Roots coming up here. It's coming to be in October, which is crazy. 10th, 11th, and 12th, that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And again, I'm going to do my best to get up there, even if we just stay for 1 or 2 nights. But for those who are going up there, if you would like to be interviewed for this podcast, they have a green room set aside for me that I'm going to be doing in-person interviews. I got all the mics, everything set up for that. Just send me a message. You can send me an email. Actually, would probably be preferred, honestly. Send me an email. It's wiseguymedia@gmail.com, WYZGUYmedia@gmail.com. I'll put a little link in the show notes. It'll say sign up for interview at Glass Roots. And just click on that little link, and it'll direct you right to my email, and just put in there in the subject, interview at Glass Roots. And it's going to be fun. I'm going to bring a video in also because I want to do a little bit of video work up there during the interviews. But if more than anything, ideally, it's just to get these in-person interviews done and take advantage of having lots of artists up there, selling their works and what have you. They've got a bunch of workshops going on and classes. It's going to be a lot of fucking fun, and I really need to make sure I get up there. So whatever it takes, in a sense, to get my ass up there. My daughter, again, is coming up with me, and she's 18 now, so she is... all about what it is that we all do. And she's a little artist herself, so it's pretty cool stuff. And also, don't forget the Flow Magazine. If you go to theflowmagazine.com and... oh my God, I got the hiccups. So let me try this again. And so don't forget also, if you have not yet subscribed to the Flow Magazine, they are offering you 10% off as a new subscriber to their magazine. It's a 4-year publication. Every quarter something new comes out. It's an amazing publication. I've been reading them for years. And there's so many tips and tricks and insights to life and glass in general. Especially if you have a little bit of knowledge of what it is that you're doing, you can read these little step-by-step processes and then go out in your shop and try them out. And it's nice to have that paper right there open to look at and as a reference, which I do all the time. Especially when it came to their marbles issue, when it had a couple lessons in there about doing compression marbles, something I've always struggled with, and I don't struggle with as much anymore just because I went through the step-by-step process of the magazine's lessons. It was pretty badass. They also do a lot of webinars and all kind of fun stuff, so just go to the flowmagazine.com and check them out. And again, if you want the 10% off, just put in the code WISEGUY at checkout, WYZGUY at checkout, and you'll receive 10% off your purchase for your new subscription. And and also for all you iPhone users, they just updated the iPhone to iOS 11. Even if you have a 6 or a 7, whatever iPhone you have, or a 5 even, or the new 8 or the 10 or the 25 or the X or whatever the hell they're calling them these days. But they have a new app for the iPhone for your podcast player. And what's interesting is if you go and you open up the podcast on your podcast player for this podcast, I'm going to do it right now as I'm talking to you so I can make sure that this shit works. So you go to your library. If you click on shows, it's going to bring up all your shows that you listen to. You go down to my podcast on there where it says Wise Guy Radio. You open it up, and you'll see what it has is the recent interview or episode on there that you haven't fully listened to all the way through. And if you scroll down the page, you will see where it says best of the podcast. It has episodes on there that I believe might have been the most downloaded episodes potentially. But you also can leave a rating now and reviews. And it'll show a couple reviews in there. So all you got to do is just scroll down, and you can literally just click on the 5 stars, And then you can also click on write a review, and you can leave me a review, which helps out tremendously. What it does is it lets iTunes know that the show is being listened to, and it puts it up in the ranks for the podcast, as well as exposes it to more folks out there in the world who don't have a clue about who we are. And being the Wise Guy Radio Show doesn't have glass in the name. I do have it in the little links and the tags and what have you. But it'll give the world a chance to really see what this community is all about, how fast we're growing, how we all come together and we all help each other out. It's pretty amazing stuff. So if you can, leave a review for me. Be kick ass. I am all out of pendants. We officially gave all 40 of them away, which is pretty fucking awesome. So thank you to everybody who sent out a review. And if you have not yet received your pendant for that, please let me know. I had 2 that were sent out right before Hurricane Irma came through, and also another package, which I'm devastated about, but that were lost in the mail. And I send these out in a little bubble envelope so that I don't do tracking on them, because it only costs like $1.50 to ship them. But unfortunately, they were lost, and I don't mind sending out new ones if I have to. So if you did not receive one, you left a review, of course, I'm going to go and make sure you did do a review, and that you're not just lying to me trying to get a free pendant, which I don't mind doing, but I prefer that you do a little bit of work for it, you know? Okay. So let me know. Hit me up, either through my Instagram page or email, what have you. And I'll have all those links down below in the show notes. And I'm going to stop rambling. So you guys enjoy this episode with Topher Morcos. And you can find him online on Instagram at Original Topher. And again, and I realized at the end of this interview, I said Topher's Originals, which is not what his Instagram page is. I'm a jackass. I'm not going to edit that out, but I did say that at the end. So it's Original Topher. Check him out. He does some pretty badass stuff. And if you're not familiar with his work, you will be familiar now. So definitely check him out. And until next time, thanks again for tuning in to episode 175 of the Wise Guy Radio Show. And we will see you next week. Talk to you soon. Love you so much. Bye-bye. Hey, what's up, Topher? Welcome to the show.
Hey, man. How's it going?
Pretty good, dude. It's finally getting you on here. We were introduced together through the Tournament of Fire here back a couple months back with all those crazy kids, and had a lot of fun with that. And definitely want to cover that conversation too, and your experience in it, and our little,
I really enjoyed that. That was something different and fun, and I wish I did better, but I would definitely try that again.
Yeah, I hear you. Same with me, but I'll get into it here in a little bit later on. But timing for myself, it was actually perfect that I didn't move on to the next round. So I got to say, it was. I'm glad you beat me in that head-to-head part.
Round 1.
Yeah. So before we get too off track here, man, if you want to start us off by giving us your superhero origin story and how you got introduced to the flame.
Yeah. I was going to college at Rowan University for business, and I took a glass blowing 1 class, like a soft glass class at Wheaton Village. Really liked it, so I started volunteering there, helping take care of the grounds and mostly doing I would speak during the demos while the glass blowers did their thing, and got on the furnace in between lunchtime and stuff. And then from there, I wanted to learn how to make pipes, obviously, so I took a few lamp working classes, took the ultimate class with Coil, Joe P, Snick, Elbow, WJC, and Shobo. It was a very, very early intro for me, so I was a little bit, out of my element, but I learned a lot of what could be done. And then I spent a year after that just focusing on Millie. I took a David Kaminski class. It was like a 2-on-1 class in New York, and went home, tried to make a couple Millies. Some came out, some didn't. Then he flew out to New Jersey for the IFC and spent a week with me and kind of drilled home everything that I was doing wrong. And then, kept practicing, and eventually took a Karl Taylor class. on encasements, so I could learn how to apply my Millie in my scenes. And I was going to Salem for a while. Only finished a year of that, but learned a lot about, the hollow stuff and seals, and yeah, just been practicing since and getting better.
Hell yeah. So how long into like glass blowing or just the overall art were you till you started taking classes?
Pretty early on. I during like the first 4 months, while I was still going to business school, I was just doing it in the basement off of YouTube videos, Dustin Revere's videos, that type of stuff, and whatever information I could find on the melting pot. And then, eventually I took the ultimate class and just realized how much faster you could learn if like you're surrounded by the right instruction. And it's, some of them do get pretty expensive, but with the right teachers will, take care of you like after the class and continue to answer your questions. And it is really worth it in the long run. Saves you a lot of time on like, your own mistakes and just seeing how other people do their thing.
Yeah, I agree, man. That's what when I look at the cost of these classes, you're really not, it's an investment, and you're paying for the lack of pain you have to deal with for all the fuck ups you have to go through. And don't get me wrong, you still have to go through those fuck ups, but it's so much easier when someone could be like, hey, just do it this way instead of trying it 20 different times.
Right? Yeah. And even after you see them do it, you go and do it, and there's still mistakes that you're going to make. That if you get to work with that person again, there'll be like a slight adjustment that will make all the difference for you. Yeah,
for sure. And I even know like the classes I took recently, like in the last couple of years, it was like that for me too. It was kind of I had to go home and practice it. I mean, I was ready to go home right away after everything I learned and go. It took me probably 3 days to get a chance to get on the torch again. But having that knowledge and background understanding where you can actually take notes that you can bring home and really understand the notes you're taking, and use that for references and all that kind of stuff. It's so important to journal and keep a log of all the stuff that you're doing. Whether it's formulas, recipes, materials you're using, names for techniques.
Especially when you're as forgetful as most of us are.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So I want to kind of go back up to the business school thing. So did you go through the process and complete your degree in business itself?
I did. I finished I got my degree in entrepreneurship and minored in management. It definitely helps me, and I try to remember all the stuff I learned from back then and apply it to my business. But I have only just begun, being better about records, and gonna just registered myself as an LLC and all that good stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I was kind of wondering if there was any specifics that you took out of that class or out of your schooling that you found that you can now take into glass, because the glass business isn't like it's a huge thing unless you have a full studio and employees and whatever. But as a solopreneur per se.
Yeah, I mean, basically just the attitude about it is every entrepreneur is just really passionate about what they do, and most of us are very passionate about glass, and you just have to, things get tough and you just got to keep going.
Yeah, I think the things I've learned the most from the business classes I've taken is to really treat your business as its own entity, and that you're just an employee of that entity in a sense, even though you own it or what have you. But it helps you kind of understand that when you're going and get a sale, that you can't just go and just spend all that money, because all you're doing is stealing from your business in a sense.
Yes, you're representing, like you said, it's a separate entity rather than just yourself. And it's important to remember that stuff. Yeah, man. So part of your gig, I've noticed too, is you have a lot of music that you use in your work, and is music has it been an influential part of your life in a sense of art wise, or is it just something that you just kind of do for fun? I mean, I played musical instruments growing up, piano, guitar. I slacked off in high school, which I regret now, but trying to get back on the keyboard a little bit, but obviously I've listened to music.
Mm-hmm.
I love music, but yeah, that was kind of, I love the music stuff. It's like an exciting series to work on, and music hasn't been like a huge role, but definitely an important role in my life.
Well, do you find though that like from the past music that you have taken like class-wise or whatever, that it helped to kind of, I guess, expedite your techniques with glass? Because it's, people ask me all the time, like, how long does it take you to learn how to blow glass? I'm like, well, how long does it to learn to play the guitar? It's like,
yeah,
you can play a guitar, but
learned a lot of lessons about like, persistence and just like being frustrated but continuing anyway, and yeah, just practice.
Yeah, man, like practicing your scales. You got to practice making balls of glass and pulling points or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what were some of the first things you started making off the bat?
Try like many newcomers, I just wanted to make a mini rig and like made a bunch of bad rigs. So, but from there, when I took a break to learn how to make Millie, it taught me a lot too about just working with glass. And then when I went back to the hollow, it kind of came way faster.
Yeah, and I'm sure working the Millie too, because you're learning how to work a lot of heat as well, and that big mass of shit.
Heat base, keeping it hot, and yeah. It's you get to kind of be a little rougher with the Millie. You got to obviously baby all the hollow stuff. Millies you could drop and knock around and it's fine.
Yeah.
So learning to be a little more gentle.
Yeah, it's just there's so much work involved. I mean, well, I guess with the Millie stuff though, when you're doing yours, what style are you doing? But the stringer stacks, or are you doing a build up?
No, I do all Franchini painting.
Yeah.
Just start with the core of my image and work my way out from there.
Cool.
Multi components. Yeah, I try and get a lot of detail in there.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, because the stringer stack stuff, I think it's such a great concept, and yeah, it's time consuming, but I do have more of an appreciation, I think, for that other tech. Franchini, is that what it's called? Yeah,
Franchini would be the classic painting style.
Right.
It's a whole another level of patience to stack the stringers. I just learned the Franchini way. I loved it. I loved the kind of organic feel of it, rather than the pixelated you get with the stringer stacks.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
But some of the images that people could pull off with the stringer stacks are amazing. The portraits all look really good in stringer stacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So what kind of torch did you first start working on?
When I first got behind the torch, I was renting time at Carlisle, and I was also at Salem at that time. So I learned a lot on a Carlisle, but at the end of business school, my senior year project was to build an elevator pitch, they called it.
Mm-hmm.
It was you have to pitch your business, and we basically set up this little startup, and it was this whole competition. We won $5,000 from it between me and a partner. So nice. I used that money and got myself a Mirage, and yeah, still have the Mirage.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and for those that aren't familiar with the elevator pitch, the idea is that if you're in an elevator with somebody influential that you want to, propose something to, you only have maybe 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds to pitch your whatever it is, since you have the opportunity to be stuck in a room with somebody for that long, and it's just to be able to get out. Somebody's like, hey, you're at a party, well, so what do you do for a living, kind of thing, but a little bit more.
I got this idea, and you have to be able to present.
Yeah.
We did the whole thing, start, the full startup inventory, for what you would actually do in the first year of a business. We actually did register it, but yeah, you have to learn how to condense all that down into that 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not easy to do. It's like taking your biography and making it, 2 sentences or something.
Right, yeah.
Not always the easiest to do.
I went a little over that too.
Hell yeah! What was the business that you were pitching?
I was like really into aquaponics at the time. I had like this big setup in my kitchen.
Cool.
My college apartment kitchen. So we came up with like a little startup kit that like people could clip onto their fish tank to just turn into like a little herb garden. And yeah, the whole idea of aquaponics is that it uses the fish waste and the ammonia in the water to turn it into nitrates and food for the plants. So we built, like a little mini system that would clip onto like a small like hobby aquarium and turn it into a little herb garden or something, just to like introduce the idea was the whole pitch.
That's a great idea. Did you guys take that any further, like actually have a product that you could sell?
We built a prototype, and after we won the money and like I graduated, my partner still had one more year, but we registered it. We considered like pursuing it. There were like some problems in the idea that we like kind of brushed over because we're like, oh, it's a business competition. We could like, cover the problems or whatever. But
right.
I think basically the reason why people don't do that is because they're a little clip-on thing like that would get way too much light and produce too much algae, and it wouldn't be enough to actually filter a tank. So yeah, we decided that, and I wanted to blow glass, so I was like, I'm trying to do that.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going on a Shark Tank anytime soon.
Right. It was fun. It was a good learning experience, and it got me my torch. So
cool. Is this something that you're still into, like in terms of the aquaponics stuff?
I've been living in Philly for the past 3 years, and I just moved out to New York, and I have more space, so I still have my tank, and I've been just got my shop finished up, so I've been planning to set up
nice
a little system sometime soon.
Yeah, that's fun. Whenever Epcot has their food and wine and flower and garden shows, they always have a big setup like that with like tilapia or something in the bottom. And of course they have like, balls to the walls, the best kind of gimmick you can have. But it's always fun to see that kind of concept and to educate those around, because a lot of folks don't really understand about it, and it's a smart way to do things, especially if you can use the fish to eat as well. Yeah,
it's becoming a little more well known. People are hearing about it, and it's a cool concept that I hope people explore more.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, these are the kind of conversations I like to have on the show too. Just like, I love the glass talks, but it's always fun to talk about things that are going on outside of the torch and outside the studio. Because we're all apt to want to share all of our glass all day, but it's fun to see if cats and dogs and pets and kids the gardens and whatever else going on. So I'm glad you brought that up.
The stuff that actually provides the inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So so after you decided that you couldn't make rigs or that they were shit, did you jump back and start doing like hand pipes and some smaller stuff?
Yeah, I never really got too good at like the fast, high quantity proto stuff, and that's something that I do regret, that I have learned a lot of stuff from like going back to make a couple Sherlocks, and if I could go back, I would definitely do a better job of like focusing on spoons in the beginning, and then, which I did do, but the whole time I was just like eagerly trying to get to the next part, and could have spent a little more time on the foundations. But when I went back to Salem, they drill that stuff home, wall weight and all that stuff, and that kind of helped cover for some of my slacking in the beginning.
Right. And you weren't taking a pipe class at Salem, was it? Was it just like a...
No, I just took the regular scientific glass.
Yeah.
And Dennis Brining was my professor.
Okay.
He's a really cool guy.
Hell yeah. So are you doing any kind of scientific work at all now, or is it all just stuff you went there for the knowledge?
Yeah, I just went there for the knowledge, the background. Yeah, I was living in Philly while I was going there, so by the second year, I feel like I had gotten what I wanted out of it and kind of stopped going. But
Yeah.
so I don't know if I could get a scientific position, but I know plenty of people who did go that route, and they're killing it.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic to see some some of the pipers in our industry that are in the scientific realm, and they're kind of crossing over to do pipes, or they go back and forth, or they just use the scientific glass blowing as a way to help support their habit in a sense for the pipes.
Yeah. So it's a steady job that is also blowing glass, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's always how I kind of film with my gig over at the Mouse House, is the same way. It's just helping.
Oh yeah, you got that deal going on.
Support my habit in a sense, even though it's a lot. I get way more out of it than just that, but still, it's the consistency, which is fantastic.
Yeah, you still get to blow glass while you're there.
Yeah, exactly, and it's so weird right now too. Like, I just had my buddy Chris Dickey on. We were talking about just the dynamic of this industry right now and how there's a lot of artists that are well-established artists that are struggling right now because of this. And I can't say it's an oversaturation because I think there's more smokers and users of glass than there are makers of it. But still, there seems to be this weird oversaturation of something going on. I don't know if it's like lack of price regulations or what, but it's pretty crazy to see, man.
It's definitely an interesting time right now, and it's like people, like every day you go on Instagram, somebody you've never heard of, like some like crazy ass piece or something. You're like, this guy's got like 500 followers or something, or like 1,000 followers, and there's a lot of really talented people, and it's good. I think as long as you try and like continue to do your own thing in a way that makes you stand out somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And that's that. I was thinking about that today because like I have a catalog I've been wanting to put back out there, but I'm like, my catalog is a lot of it's shit I did like 8 to 10 years ago, and it's all stuff that I could sell now, just production stuff. But it's like it would I feel it would just get mixed in with everybody else's stuff, and my personal line, my Wise Guy line stands out just because that's my thing. But like, it's hard to figure out,
recognizable.
Right, yeah. But to do an actual like production line that isn't like my brand or something like that isn't always the easiest thing to get out and get going. And like I have a student who I've been helping for a while now, and he's been getting super frustrated for like the last year because his sales were sucking. And I'm like, dude, you got to understand, it's like you're brand fucking new. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Just keep what you're doing and keep practicing. And he had a huge breakthrough like 2 weeks ago, and he's finally starting to get some good size orders coming in. I mean, he lined up more orders in a week than he's had in 6 months, and they're still coming in. And it's just like, you got to get. Yeah. It's that point of frustration where you're like, I'm about to give up, but I know I shouldn't. And then once you don't give up and you break through it, you succeed.
Yeah, there's ups and downs all along the way, but you just got to keep at it, and it feels good when it starts picking up.
Yeah, exactly. Do you find that your business school like gave you any tools though per se for like understanding about having like a squirrel fund and saving during the slow times and setting up those kind of things for yourself?
An understanding of it, probably. That in practice, I'm not the best at it. But yeah, I try and it's hard to resist the urge. There's always like tools and stuff you want, and like some of it's worth it, some of it's not. Colors, same deal. Some of it's worth it, some of it's not. But as long as you feel like you're spending it on the right stuff and reinvesting it into yourself and not partying with it too much or anything.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, try not to focus on the money too much. Obviously, it's important and necessary to do what we do, but if you only made stuff towards like how much you could sell it for, like I feel like I put more work into some of my pieces than I know it's going to sell for. But I don't know. I feel like sometimes if you focus too much on the bottom line, you could lose some of the artistic value.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah, I agree.
I try and remember. Yeah, but go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's what separates the art from the craft. When it comes to the pipes.
Yeah. So sometimes I like consciously know that I'm not making the best business decision, and a lot of times it's while I'm making a certain Millie or something. But it's still I think is important to like not let it get stale or old or like feel like work or anything like that. If it gets boring at all, you could lose some of your creativity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why I like to watch movies and listen to books on tape and stuff for those times that do get boring, because there's not always the creative side of making pipes. Sometimes you got to put that creativity aside and just bust out production, and
a bunch of prep or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pulling stringers or points or whatever. But even like doing Millie work, dude, I mean, there's a ton of prep and involvement in that, of just the preparation before you even turn your torch on.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Image prep, and that's one of the things Kaminski drives home is like image selection. Like, no matter how good you are at making Millie, you pick the wrong image, and it, sometimes won't look right in a Millie.
Yeah. So what's your process for that? Like in terms of picking out your image or figuring out what the hell you're gonna do?
So recently I've been working on the scenes, but before that, we did a lot of like hand drawn stuff. We would like kind of like find some cartoonish images and then like tweak them from there. My girlfriend draws a lot of my Millie images for me. She's nice. Like a good doodler. But yeah, basically just limit the amount of components, or if you want a lot of detail, I try and like break it down into bigger components and size it up and build all the components. And I am just constantly referencing my final image as I build the components to like keep it all in proportion.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of work. That's why I say like I haven't had I can't say I haven't had the time, but I haven't had the time to invest in the Millie work.
Yeah.
Like my brother's been doing Millie work for about a year now, and he's doing more like abstract mosaic stuff, but his work is fucking incredible. I mean, it looks like a sheet of blotter acid, type stuff. And
that's cool. Yeah,
it's just fucking amazing what he's like. He's blowing my mind what he's doing out there, and rolling them up into a tube and then adding them to his rigs and stuff. And he's told me he'll spend 2 weeks on something, and he sells it for a good amount of money, but it still doesn't pay for the entire amount of time that he's put into it. And again, he's not doing it for the money. He's doing it because his appreciation and love for it.
Yeah, I know that feeling. But yeah, like I said, when you care about it like that, it's easy. You just like kind of just do it, and whatever it sells for, if it sells, it's cool. And then if it sells for more, it's even cooler.
Yeah, exactly. Do you try to set like a minimum though? Like if you can't get a certain amount for it, you'll just hold on to it type of thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. But I like trying like I have like a certain amount that I like for each of my Millie sections, and then if it's like more intricate or like I've been doing like specific songs, and if it's like the amount of bars that the Millie section is, I try and like price it according to that. And yeah, been like I said, like I've been recently like re-examining all the business side of things and trying to get all that stuff sorted out, like better pricing strategy and more consistent, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because I think that's the biggest thing to any success, is just being consistent.
Right.
Whatever it is, whether it's losing weight or eating the right food or being a glassblower.
Yeah, just habits and consistency. And as you get better at blowing glass, I feel like I've been like able to nail the same shapes, and it's like easier for me to categorize my things, and it like all kind of builds upon itself.
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Well, I want to go back to the music thing that you mentioned. So when you're doing your Millie scenes, like with the music, are you actually creating like sheet music of a song?
Yeah, so my proto line, I've been doing like key signatures, like scales, different like majors and minors, and for the other tubes, I've been doing usually just a bar or 2 bars of the chorus for each song I pick.
That's fucking cool, man.
Thanks. Yeah, so I just like either print it out or find it on my phone, and I spent like maybe like 2 months making like a note a night. Like I would make a pipe and a Sherlock or something, like my daily routine, and then a Millie at the end of the night, because like those are pretty simple Millie as far as like the other Millie I've been making, which is like multi-component, all this detail, and these are just like some of them have like this kind of complex shapes, but nothing too difficult. So I was able to just like crank one out a night, and then eventually I had like a good stash of notes, and I had a good friend when I lived in Philly that would help me cut up and polish all this stuff. And it's I just moved out of Philly, so it's been a little tougher like doing all the cutting and polishing myself, but that's I would say is the biggest time suck, is the polishing.
Yeah, that's a fun idea though. Cause like I know myself, like back in the day, there was times where I was like listening to some music and I'm like, man, it'd be great to do the whole series of pipes or whatever that was based on this inspiration from this particular song I'm listening to, or like Pink Floyd's The Wall or something of that nature, and just call that line that in a sense. Yeah,
it's been a fun way to approach things.
I think it's genius,
like,
dude.
Especially, oh, thank you. Especially when I'm like collabing with people, it's like kind of fun to like try and think of a song that correlates with whatever their theme of their work is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And it usually makes it like a little more fun.
So are you doing them as an encasement, or are you doing like a tube roll up with them when you're doing the sheet music?
I sleeve everything.
Yeah. Still, man, it's fucking awesome. Such a cool idea.
Thanks.
And then you get into like, I've seen your post with your music boxes that you're doing with your cases. So you want to tell us about that?
Oh yeah,
just even
I've done
crazier.
a couple. Thanks. I've done a couple of those. I basically just get a little sound module, like basically the ones that are inside the greeting cards that you open and play the little song. And yeah, you can just buy them online. Record the song onto it, and then like whatever song the piece is, stick it in the Pelican. And when I first did it, I like rigged it so that as soon as you would open it, it would play the song. But then I thought like maybe that could get annoying if like every time you open or close your Pelican, like you're going back in there to get a banger or something.
Yeah, Small World comes on or some shit.
Yeah, like, over and over. So then I just put a little tab in there that if for the novelty of it, if you want to play the song.
Yeah, yeah. It's a cool thing though, man, because like I don't know, is anybody else doing that? I mean, maybe people will do it now that they're hearing this shit, but like hopefully not.
Hopefully so. That'd be cool.
I think it's great.
There are a few problems I've run into it, so if anybody does it and figures out the problems that I've had, it would be cool if they shared back.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it is fun. It's another element that you get to add to the piece, and I try and add as much as I can. I've been trying to include a 7-inch vinyl as well with every piece, but that's become a little bit of a challenge, and I've spent a little more money on vinyls than I'd like.
Yeah, I'm sure.
To find the specific vinyl.
Are you having them pressed, or are you actually like going out and finding the actual vinyl?
Oh no, I've been like, well, at first I was like, I would make a song I really wanted to make onto a piece, and then I would like go online and spend like 2 days searching through going to different record stores, and then since then I've started getting the vinyl first with whatever vinyls I can find and making this pieces according to like what vinyls I already have, rather than trying to like go out and search for specific ones.
Yeah, man, time is money.
Exactly. And also, when you go into those old record stores, you can get up to like $1 or $2. When you're looking for a specific one, people are like $20 or whatever. And like by the time you buy a Pelican and sound module and the vinyl and all this time into the piece itself. Like, you obviously add that onto the price of the piece, but got to keep things affordable for everybody.
Yeah, man. But the nostalgia and the whole concept of what you're doing is like a marketing package, I think, is incredible. It's super smart because, like you're saying, you can do a little couple accessories on the side that have the same notes that match, and it's a great idea.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a fun concept to explore.
What was the inspiration for all that? Was it your background in music, or was it just like I'm not going to guess? What was your inspiration?
Not so much. My girlfriend helped me come up with the idea. Basically, I like took the Karl Taylor class. Was like trying to plan out. I was doing a lot of fish scenes after that, and that was just made like a bunch of fish Millie with my shop mate, Glass Monkey. He's like really into fish and aquariums, so it was like fun to explore that concept. And we had a bunch of fish Millies, so I like made some seaweed and some other like underwater Millies and made some of those scenes for a while. And then the whole cadmium scare came around, and I was like, stocked up on what I could, because one image I like needs a pound of yellow or something, and it like I was questioning what Millies I could make. So I was like trying to think of a Millie scene that wouldn't require much or any cadmiums in it. And yeah, somehow we were talking and she came up with the sheet music. I started out, I was actually wrapping flat cane, just black and clear flat cane, to make the 5 lines around a white blank. And then she was like, oh, why don't you just spin up a vac stack? And it's just way easier to do it that way.
It's so funny, man, when you have somebody outside that really doesn't know glass that can tell you something like that. It's almost
a different perspective.
Yeah, totally, dude. Because I love that.
Yeah.
I've mentioned it before on the show. Like, I love when I'm making something and I'm going one direction, and a friend will come by and he's like, "Hey, you making this?" I'm like, "No, but I will now."
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, totally. Well, you're like, hey, actually, I need to hit pause real quick, bro. I need to get my phone charger and plug my phone in real quick so it doesn't die on us.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Give me 1 sec. Okay, cool. But yeah. So, anyways, I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off there.
Oh, you're good.
But yeah, man, I think it's such a cool thing to have someone. I mean, not only a girlfriend, but even just a friend or whatever, just to give you those kind of inspirations and can see the different perspectives. Because it's so easy to get like what's the word I'm looking for? Like having your blinders up.
Things or like
totally.
You get lost in a certain thought or process, and I'm like, just discovered the sleeving thing at that point, and I just wanted to sleeve everything, and was like, oh, I'll sleeve flat cane and sleeve Millie over that, and it just became fun. But yeah, like efficiency, and it's just easier and more accurate.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Faster to do it the other way. Yeah.
So have you taken this concept of like with the music and sheet notes, and is it just strictly on rigs because you have like a good size canvas to do them on?
I've made some Sherlocks and a couple jars and a big cup with my shopmate Casta. It has been a little tough for me to get them to size them down real small, and I've tried to make a couple pendants, but between like the viscosity issues of the white and black, and then the black Millies, or like the thickness over the black lines, they become a little difficult to even out. And switching axes, I've distorted a bunch of sections. Mm-hmm. So I'm still kind of working on how to manipulate these sections a little better, because they are a little tough to work with, and sometimes I feel bad handing them off to people because it takes a second to I don't know, even it all out. It's kind of something I'm working on right now.
Yeah, it makes sense though, man, because you have a lot of layers going on, and it's not always easy to make it consistent. Well, for instance, like my student, he's wanting to learn how to do how Nate does his Swiss perks, and he just wanted to do like a little small one because he's been getting into doing donuts and stuff. So I made him a big fat patty, basically like 8 inches long, out of some 44 last week. And I was talking to him yesterday, and he was all he wanted to do was put 5 holes in it and just keep it consistent and even and simple. And I didn't realize when I made the piece that the wall thickness wasn't 100% consistent all the way around the whole piece, because I actually flattened out the sides, like I left it oval but flattened it out so it was easier to work with.
Yeah.
So that process, by doing that, it kind of moved some of the glass around a little bit. So he's like, yeah, I got the first 3 down, but the last 2 I fucked up that the walls weren't touching. I'm like, yeah, it's probably because it wasn't completely consistent all the way through. And that was something he didn't even contemplate even thinking about that, because he is new at this, So it's those kind of things that you really got to think about when you're going to do like a build. Like when I took that Joe Peters, Peter Muller class, they kept referring to like their moves. They were making this next move, and I was kind of like, I've heard that before, but not really in the glass world. And it made so much sense, because you're like making these little chess moves, and you got to really think like 4 or 5 moves ahead of what's this going to do.
Steps ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where the experience comes in of them, doing it so many times, and they're just like, they know what problems to expect and what to prepare for, and what things to plan for.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of reminds me, the other day I was on stage making pumpkins, and we've been trying to make an 8-inch pumpkin, and it's getting to a point where I was like, I think I need to get 3 gathers to make this thing myself personally, because I'm still working on getting a nice first gather, much less a second and third. So
yeah.
I get my 3rd gather. It's all going well, and then the whole time I've been dealing with an injured wrist for like the last 2 weeks, so it wasn't helping me at all. But it was still, I just had to power through it. But I got my setup, everything done. I got my bubble all moved through, and I go into my optic mold to blow into to get that pumpkin texture on the outside. And I got it out, I get it on my bench, I have a bunch of people watching me, and I go to put my blow hose on, and I'm blowing air through it just to make sure I'm sealed up, and I'm feeling air not, moving through my hose. I'm like, fuck, I got a hole in my hose somewhere. I'm like thinking to myself. So I sit at the bench, and I go to basically go to do my jack line, and I realized that the bottom of the fucking pumpkin had actually popped open inside the mold, because my bubble was too far down and it was too thin.
Airtight, yeah.
So it just popped in the bottom inside the mold, and I had no idea, because it's such a long piece of glass I'm working with. So I was like, oh shit. So I told the guests, I'm like, so I am a lamp worker. I know how to take a piece of tubing and marver it down on a table and close it back up. So, but it was such a quick thought. It made me happy to think that I was able to come up with that quickly, because I was able to go back in my heater. I reheated that bitch back up, went to my table, marvered it down, went to my bench, got my diamond shears out, closed that fucker right back up as much as I could, and came out with a really nice pumpkin at the end of the process. And I know, early on, I probably would have just tossed it in my bucket and started over again.
Right. Yeah. It's really cool to see like soft glass and lamp working, the 2 worlds merge, and it is like, I was just at Melt, and Marcel had like his whole Boro furnace there, and it was just really cool to see like all like the techniques, especially like first starting out in the soft glass world, like a lot of us did, and seeing it applied to Boro or vice versa, like you're saying, your technique of like closing down a tube in soft glass, and how a lot of soft glass people have been making some crazy sculptures recently, and it is cool to see the 2 worlds merge, kind of.
Yeah, bro. It blows my fucking mind when I see Marcel get a huge gather or come out of his glory hole with this big mass of Boro. And that shit's got to be close to 4,000 degrees, and he's not wearing any protection except for his hat and a pair of fucking sleeves. I'm like waiting for him to catch on fire. I'm like, dude, what the like? It's just he's just on his world of his own with what he's doing. Dude, it's just incredible.
Yeah, he's a G. He's also got the coolest hat on in the room.
Yeah,
so
totally,
sure
always. But even like their whole concept with their like the currency that they're making and stuff, it's just a neat.
Dude, it was so cool seeing like watching the way they work as a unit, and it was just really, really something to see. It was like hopped in there. They had me pull down a couple letters and resize some stuff. It was like cool to be a part of it for a quick second.
Yeah. So how was Melt? I've actually the first person I've had a chance to talk to that went.
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was like obviously like nothing you've ever been to. It's like the environment was great. Like everybody was so nice to each other, open, sharing. Like it was like I can't wait till next year. I don't know really what else is like the best experience. It was like summer camp for glass blowers, and
Yeah.
basically feel like a little kid the whole time. The food was amazing, and it was like everything was so. It was like, for their second year, very few problems, and they had went through a crazy amount of like tanks, and they barely had any downtime as far as like swapping tanks, and like it was, I don't know, it was really cool. Like 150 glass blowers or something, like all with their torches, and Covington had like their saw and lap wheel. There were lathes and furnaces. Greasy and Monkey were pulling color there. It was just like, glass blowers paradise pretty much.
Yeah,
There
it
was a
sounds
guy
like
with
it.
a soft glass truck, like from Philly. He has like a little soft glass mobile studio, and he was out there. Anybody could hop in there if they want, and yeah,
Too cool. Did
it
you
was.
get a bench space for yourself?
I did. I was able to. I like made a rig the first night, and then I made a component for that Millie that Dapo made for the event itself. A couple of his students also made a Millie, and Micro made a component for it, and so that was cool to like all hop in on a Millie.
Yeah.
Then made another Millie with my friend Phil. And then so it was just really cool to be able to like start a bunch of projects with different people. I've like handed out a bunch of my sections to people to take home with them, and started conversations with people and planned future collabs and trips, and the networking there, and like the people you meet, and
Yeah.
it was just, I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, it's a cool dynamic with our industry, man. It just has the culture of the pipe makers. It's just like we're just this one big happy community and family, and everybody, for the most part, gets along. I mean, you got your trolls and your a-holes out there, don't get me wrong, but...
Oh, yeah. I mean,
You know.
they're everywhere, and even like, anywhere you go, you just got to be prepared for that thing. But it is cool when you're somewhere where the majority of people are nice and respectful, and it was just a really, really amazing week.
Yeah, I got to get Salt on here to talk about next year for sure, because...
Is he
What's that?
doing next year?
I don't know, because I know he was involved in it last year. Was he there this year?
I don't think he was there this year.
Do you know who all's putting that thing on? Do you know like who's the main backers behind it?
Yeah, Paul Catherman, Josh Mazzette,
Okay.
Kevin Beecher. Trying to remember any other names. I know Blake. I can't always butcher his last name. Levikinoff, Donzo Glass.
Yep.
He's recently started helping out a lot. Stellar helps out, but yeah, mainly Josh and Paul and Kevin.
Hell yeah. Is it on their property that they have up there, or is it like some rented space?
It's a rented spot, same place they had it last year. It's a summer camp for kids, and there's a bunch of cabins on it. Each cabin has bathrooms, showers, a bunch of beds, and then there's like, a cafeteria. They set up like 2 big torch tents. And it was really, really well put together. The food was like, I ate really good there.
Hell yeah. That's the best.
And oh yeah.
I mean, what more can you ask for, man? Some fucking glass blowing and some great food and good times like that.
Dude,
It's like,
it was pretty. I guess the one thing which they had some trouble with electricity, which I guess they had generators going the whole time, but I guess with all the furnaces running, they blew a transformer the first night.
oh Jesus.
Yeah, so that was a little incident, but they had it all sorted out by the second day.
Yeah,
And,
that is the one thing you got to deal with is all that electricity. We're some electricity using fools.
Yeah, so that, gives some restrictions as far as like they have to cut you off at some point at the night. I think it was like 3 a.m. most nights, so it wasn't like early or anything. But with, if you're in the habit of working late or like Millie's, like usually end up, starting late in the night and working through the night or whatever, just because it's like a long process that you don't really want to stop in the middle of. So you just got to be like prepared for that type of stuff, and I don't know, maybe bring your own kiln. I would say I might want to bring my own kiln next year.
Well, that's a good thing to know. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they are growing, obviously. It's their second year. So a lot of this stuff that they're renting, they're also like, buying as they go along. So they're adding more kilns and all that stuff as they go. So, and I can imagine not an easy thing to organize.
No way.
But they did it.
Yeah. It's a cool thing to see these new kind of events coming out because, with AGI going on for years and years and years and then coming to a halt for a while, now they're back up and running again. And, Joe Peters had their summer camp, what was it, like Want to Make a Heady or something like that they called it. It's fucking hilarious. Just some fun shit. Like it's just a cool thing going on. And it seems like the areas that really hold a lot of the glass blowers at are like areas that are just gorgeous weather and environment. And like in Florida, we could do it here, but it'd have to be in like April or something like that when it's not so fucking hot.
Yeah. I heard some rumors about a West Coast melt. I think that I don't think it's anything solid, but something people are interested in. That would be cool to take a trip out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because like the DFO.
The more these things.
Oh, go on.
I was just saying, the more of these things that pop up, the more things we get to go to.
Yeah. The more money to invest in yourself and take classes and grow as a community.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. So speaking of that, do you do any trade shows at all?
I do trade shows. I did Glassroots last year. I've done, I guess Glassroots twice. Not too many, but I am working on building, more of an inventory rather than just letting everything go. I've participated in like a couple of like shows, which is fun as far as like gallery shows. Those are cool because you get to like, make a piece with some meaning behind it and submit it for an event.
Yeah. So the shows that you did, there was like invites or were they like call out to artists kind of things?
Both. I did. Ruckus did a call to a submission, and me and my shopmate Casta made like a Jaws themed piece with like some Jaws Millie and a boat. Some fish Millie around like a boat. And it was like this crazy piece. It was fun to make. And then they also had a non-functional show there, and I submitted a few pieces in that. There's another show coming up at Spectra Art in Colorado. They're having like an all vinyl theme show, and they asked me to be a part of it, which should be fun. I'm going to try and make, a couple pieces pertaining to certain vinyls, and got to come up with a plan of action for that. But that should be fun. That's October 7th.
Cool. I'm seeing the Melt Millie right now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I made that little bushy looking tree.
Hell yeah. That's cool.
Dapo was somebody I spent a lot of the week with. He's really cool and has a lot of good information, and I'm going to try and go to California one day to work with him.
Heck yeah. Yeah, if you guys go check out his Topher's Instagram, it's @originaltopher. I'll have that link in the show notes. You can see his work and see what we're talking about here with the Millie chips. It's pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, man. So I want to bring up the way you and I were first introduced, which was the Tournament of Fire. And, it was Definitely was a lot of fun. It was a new thing for myself. I know it was new for you too. And you and I happened to be paired together as the head-to-head. And what was it, like 8 votes or some shit? Like it was so close.
Oh, it was so close. Yeah. The second round was just as close. It was too much anxiety. But yeah, I was pretty nervous when I saw I was matched up against you first, and yeah, I made a Millie section at first that broke, which is how I ended up with that little section of sheet music for the stand.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I just repurposed that, made that little treble clef 1E, and yeah, that was a new thing that I was wanted to explore more. Actually, the Tournament of Fire was the first time I blew glass, and I had just went to Australia for my cousin's wedding, and before that I was on another trip, and then I was moving when I got back, and it was just a whole bunch of stuff, so I hadn't blown glass in a month and a half, and then they hit me up about the Tournament of Fire, and I was like, well, that's a perfect excuse to get something going immediately, set up a little table in a horse barn, and just got to explore some of the ideas that I was thinking of during the month that I wasn't blowing glass. Yeah,
so that 1E, was it hollow, every connection all the way through the entire piece?
Yeah, everything's hollow on that.
Cool. Yeah, it was a fun little piece. Yeah, it was kind of interesting, man, because I thought that what was cool, the way that Cherry Glass put everything on, was it really gave us all a chance to get our shit together when it comes to social media and broadcasting live every day and talking to your followers and really getting a grasp on what it means for the trueness of social media and being social.
Yeah, that was the first time I've ever really done anything like that, and the amount of people that afterwards were oh, I saw you on live, and I'm I didn't know anybody really watched that, but it is it gets mundane for us because we do it every day, but there's a bunch of people who don't do it, and it's just cool to see. And
yeah.
Sometimes you forget that.
Well, it's funny. I get kids at work sometimes. They're like, yeah, I see people blowing glass on Instagram. I'm like, oh man, are they watching pipe makers? And these are young kids too saying this shit. I'm kind of wondering what they're talking about because I don't question it, but I was like, oh, that's cool. But I'm like, no, you're in person. You can get the heat and the smells and everything else going on, kind of thing. But I think it's a cool thing.
Cool though. You just you see some of these people you look up to who are just on live, and you can just sign in and watch them watch Com finish up a bird or something just from your living room.
Yeah, I mean it's free fucking classes more or less, it's you're getting if you understand what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously nothing replaces the teacher's input of explaining what they're doing while they're doing it, because it is amazing how much you don't actually see what they're actually doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of where they're putting the heat or something, that that little bit of explanation kind of really actually clarifies everything for me. Sometimes I need that. Audio.
I'm the same. I'm an audio and visual learner myself. The both of them together help me enforce what it is I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Which makes a huge difference. But yeah, man. So we worked. I was going to say earlier with the tournament for myself. I was actually glad that I didn't get through the first round because I didn't realize how fast the second round was starting. And I basically that was my last night in the studio. Was at my old studio was my first round, and I went into it I was contemplating what to make, and I knew what I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure how to go about it. And I wanted to make it because I'm all about when I'm doing my functional stuff, my sculptural stuff per se. I like to have it so you can put it on a shelf and you can't tell it's a pipe, And I was trying to think about the function of how to go about it. And so I had initially an idea, and JD Mabelson hit me up. He's like, with the concept I had, he's like, that if we're going for a Chillum or a 1E, that's definitely more of a Sherlock. And I was like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. So now I was going to take the entire concept of what I did in the first round, and I was going to do that same exact piece in every single round, but change it up just a bit so it
evolve
it to the piece. So because my bubbler was going to be the whole thing, the base, the wave, the dolphin was all going to be connected as one functional piece. But because of my moving, I would have had to have dropped out, You know, I mean, dude, I don't want to bring him up, but we had one of our guys that had a super huge tragedy happen also, which is like heartbreaking. And I don't know about you, bro, but that made me like count my blessings and
that was like
think about shit that I complain about.
Super real, and he handled it like a champ.
Yeah,
I knew him from Salem, and I obviously was really excited. It was like me, him, and our other friend that was also at Salem all in the competition. And I was like, had all these plans to like, you know, face him off all in the end, and it like really just, I don't know. It made you, appreciate it, like you're saying. Yeah,
Jesus. Yeah, and and then a couple of our friends out there in Texas that lost their houses and studios and shit. You know, I got a whole box of scraps I just got packed up here. I'm sending out there tomorrow for them just to help them get some stuff going.
Gotcha. Is he all resettled, or he's still?
Yeah, last I talked to him, they had just gotten home. The waters resided faster than they thought they were going to, so they could actually get into their house. But I mean, from what I understood, everything was completely trashed. Like at their house, the studio, the whole 9 yards. They lost everything.
I saw some of the pictures. It's pretty shitty. I don't know. It's like tough, you know.
Yeah,
there's
dude.
Nothing you can really.
No, there's not. And we had Irma come through.
To prepare for that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. You can't prepare for 20 feet of water to come in your backyard like that. It's like. Yeah. It's fucking scary shit. And like we had Irma come through and we had tornado warnings, and I mean there was a point in time where I was probably the most scared I've ever been in my life, but we got through it. I didn't have power for 5 days, but like still thinking about the folks that got hit first thing with Irma, and then everybody out in Texas, I was like, I have nothing I can bitch about whatsoever. Right, you know, I don't care how hot it is. I didn't sleep for like 2.5 days, but you know.
Yeah, I'm over here complaining that I'm like blowing glass in a horse barn or whatever.
Yeah, it's easy to do. It's easy to complain. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know here in Florida when it's, you know, we complain about it being too hot, and then we complain about it being too cold, and it's not raining enough, then it's raining too much. It's like, man, we just bitch about everything here in Florida. We're spoiled.
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah, we all. I mean, I was about to say that. Yeah, completely.
You ever end up making the pieces that you would have made in the further rounds?
No, not yet. I actually haven't done much glass at all since then. I did a little bit. I helped my my roommate or ex-roommate / student wrap up a couple pieces. He's such a smart kid, and he's got such drive and motivation to want to like be successful that he's taking on things that he shouldn't be making type stuff. I mean, like, you know, you're talking about making rigs from the very beginning, and he's picking it up pretty quickly, but I had to like help him fine-tune a couple things. So my last couple weeks of glass blowing have been just fine-tuning his ass more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's got its ups. It's like good parts and bad parts of like trying to push yourself too fast. Like you get used to challenging yourself, which I think is a good thing, and like you know, constantly stepping out of your comfort zone. But yeah, also doing the same thing and developing a comfort zone and the confidence of like just like knowing what you're going to do and what's going to happen when you do it or whatever. It's definitely a balance of trying to like make the most complicated thing you can, or just like driving home the things you've learned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, there always talks about finding that balance, and I kind of think that finding that balance is a joke at times if it actually really doesn't exist, you know.
Right, it's like chasing the dragon.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, literally with us in terms of the fire and shit, but you know, it's true. It's like there's so many times where I'm like, yeah, I get these inspirations and ideas, and I'm like, man, I want to do that, but I know I need to do this instead. But I think I'm gonna do this instead, and then it cracks and breaks on me, and I'm all fucking pissed off at myself because I didn't do the production stuff where I knew I could have gotten through it and made the money, you know, and paid my bills.
Yeah. But you know, it's like I think Jason Lee is always like, you know, preaching like get the proto stuff out of the way earlier in the week so you could like, you know, take the day or two to make that thing that you've been wanting to make, that if it breaks, like, you know, you did all your work earlier in the week. That's like going to pay the bills.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think too, like, to discipline yourself to where you could set like one day a week to aside to say like every Wednesday is my fuck off day or something like that, or my exploring day, or, you know, it's not always easy to do, but to, you know, like you know, you and I were talking pre-show about shipping packages, and it's like we're both laughing at it. And almost every artist I've had on here, it's like shipping stuff is like the most easiest, most simple thing to do, but it's the most difficult thing to actually accomplish.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and it's and I think about that kind of shit. Like, man, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's important. I mean, they're just as excited to get the piece as you are to sell it. So,
yeah,
like, just because you got paid doesn't mean that you shouldn't rush to get it out the door. But yeah, so I've tried to to avoid the individual Millie sales and the small quantity Millie sales, because that only leaves me falling behind on my shipping.
Yeah, and I guess I had lost my track of thought on that one, but what I was going with it was like I've begun to, well, I haven't in a while, but when I was on my production with Ryan or whatever I was doing, I was making Thursdays like my day to ship, and that way I can get it out Thursday at the latest, and then they would have it by Monday, kind of thing. And I would
That's a good way to do it.
And I would get an order in on Wednesday, and I would tell them if I can get it done tonight, I'll ship it tomorrow. But if not, I have to wait till next Thursday. And
right, you're like, Thursday's post office day.
Yeah, and that way you can let your customers know, like, this is the day that I ship, and I'm sorry, but I can't ship until next week. And it's unless it's like an emergency or it's a birthday present that they, or something like that, you can make exceptions. But if you make the exception, maybe you should charge a little extra for it, because you're making the exception for the rule in a sense.
Expedited shipping fee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I think by that it helps to keep you disciplined, especially for a lot of us that work at home. And it's not, working at home takes enough discipline as it is, much less setting up your schedule for the rest of your week of other things you have to do outside of your business, like, packing orders.
And my old shop was right next to the post office, and I wasn't good. Now I'm like 10 minutes away from the post office, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I know I've had Rashawn Jones on a couple times, and he's like, dude, the post office is across from my house, and the packages still sit here for fucking 2 weeks.
Right. Where it's like, I just don't have the right size box at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that, man, because at this new post office I've had to go find by my new place. Every time I've gone there the last month, they have like no boxes at all, and I don't usually use the priority boxes unless it's something like super small, and I just usually use the small boxes. But for shipping this glass out, I was wanting to get the large priority boxes just because it's one fee, it doesn't matter how much it weighs, and they haven't had boxes for the last 2 weeks. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go today and see if they have them, and they were all restocked up. So I grabbed a shit ton of them just to make sure I had backups. But, I guess what we were talking pre-show, it's so easy just to set your shit up to where you can have it picked up at your house. And I know some folks don't like to have that necessarily happen because they don't have a good space that their studio's in or house or whatever. But for the convenience factor of it, they don't charge you any extra for it. You can just leave all your stuff out there. If you have like a little basket, you can put them in or something like that and just leave a little note out there for your post person, and they can just pick them up for you.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that. I have a very long driveway, so I don't know about leaving everything at the end of the driveway, but I'm sure if you there's a way to alert the postman or something.
Yeah, dude, if you have like a regular mailbox, I just take a little index card and use the same one every time and just stick it in the mailbox with my flag up, and then just says, please pick up boxes at front door.
Oh, gotcha.
Because I know a lot of folks have like even here at my house, the mailman just drives in their little truck and they just keep on driving.
Right, just continues on, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've made it now a habit of putting them on my little rocking chair on the front porch with a note in the mailbox saying, please pick up.
Yeah, that is definitely something I am going to look into, because if I don't have to leave the house to send stuff, it saves me that much more time.
Yeah, and it's funny, dude. It's like I can't say that we're all lazy, because I don't think we're lazy. I think it's just we're unmotivated to go to the post office.
Yeah. We got different priorities.
Yeah, even though our bless them, our customers are out there waiting for their stuff.
Oh yeah, of course. But you're like, in your mind, you made that piece and you're on to the next piece. So you're like planning what you're gonna do next, and sometimes it's hard to obviously somebody out there is waiting for what they just paid you for, and they're just as anxious to get it. So it's, I am bad at it, but I understand the importance, and I'm trying to get better at it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm even worse returning phone calls when I'm on the torch. It's like, fuck. I'll see someone text me or call me, and it's like, I'll call you after this piece is over, and then I start the next piece, and it's like, fuck, I got to call them, and like 3 days later, I finally call them back.
Yeah, then you have 30 unread text messages.
Yeah, exactly. And kill them full of glass.
400 emails. Yeah. I know the feeling.
Yeah,
Bunch
man.
of notifications.
Yeah, exactly. It's too funny. Well, I think it's be a good place for us to take a quick break and thank our sponsors here. And then we'll come back and it'll be time for us to crash the kiln.
Cool.
This segment of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Zen Dude Fitness. Lose 10 pounds this month by joining the Zen Dude Fitness 4-week jump rope fat loss challenge. Brandon and Dan will take you on a guided journey towards becoming the best you. Get fit, have fun, and find new ways to eat healthy while still enjoying the sweeter side of life. Just takes 20 to 30 minutes a day and no gym required. For more info and to sign up for the free 4-week challenge, go to wiseguymedia.com/ZenDudeFitness. That's wiseguymedia.com/ZenDudeFitness. All right, cool. We are back. And the Crash and the Kiln round consists of 7 questions. If you want to give me a 30 to 60 second answer on those, and you can expound upon them as we always do.
I'll try.
Yeah, if it's 5 minutes, that's fine by me too.
Yeah. All right, cool. Sometimes I get lost.
Yeah, it's all good, man. But the first question I always like to ask is if there is any living glass artist that you haven't worked with yet and you want to, who is it and why?
I would say probably Grimm because, like his sleeving tech is what helped step my work up and really allowed me to like make anything I visualize. And he's just with another amazing teacher I had, and haven't gotten to make anything with him, although we have talked briefly about some stuff we could do. So he would be one person. Basically, yeah, any of the big Millie guys, I would love to take a Lauren Stump class one day. That would be cool. The person I learned Millie from, Kaminski, learned a lot of his stuff from Lauren Stump. So it would just be cool to, see the source.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I need to take a class from Lauren one of these days. I need to get his ass on this show.
Oh, jeez.
On top of that.
Yeah.
It'd be a fun conversation.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be a good episode.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So, what are your top 5 favorite colors in glass?
Right now, jet black. Could use a lot of jet black. I like a lot of opaque colors. I do obviously appreciate all the new transparents and the fun colors, but yeah, basically Millie safe colors I like to stick with in case anything gets left over on the bench. I love chocolate. It's a good color.
Mm-hmm.
Glasstronics green, because it's like the only Millie safe green besides like the chartreuse and olive, which are like, lighter greens, but the Glasstronics green is discontinued at the moment.
Yeah.
So that has been, you love what you can't have. Yeah, I don't know how many that was, but
you got 3 so far.
Okay. Star White, I usually stick with Star White. Arctic Blitz, my shopmate Glass Monkey, he has been experimenting. Well, my old shopmate, I just moved out. He's been experimenting with mixing colors from batch, and he came up with a really cool recipe. It's like a light blue, like a couple shades lighter than Raindrop or something, and it's a really, really nice bluish green.
Nice.
And they do a lot of like dichro wraps too over their colors. So I use most of my tubing comes from him just because it was so close, and he makes some really nice tubing and has also been a big teacher and help for me.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
Working for 2 years with him, yeah.
What is your worst injury in the studio?
When I first started using metal handles to pull my Millie, I had allowed one end to get a little too cool, and it popped off the moil, and I caught the it's like, you know, a little pancake at the end of a steel rod, and I caught the pancake part, and the metal burns are like way worse than glass burns. And so I had like basically the size of my palm was like all severely burned, and that was probably the worst one. The only one that like kept me off the torch for an extended period of time. Yeah, which I just did a bunch of cold working then, but yeah, that was probably the worst one.
Yeah, it's like branding your hand. Jesus.
Oh yeah, basically. Luckily, the skin on your palm is like it doesn't scar easily. It's like used to regenerating, so there's barely a scar or anything. But
nice. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. I think I always get asked every day if I burn myself, which I always laugh at. That's my answer. Usually I just laugh. But
yeah, right. It's like
I'm always burning myself on the metal, dude. Whether it's my jacks or our hot head torch the other day I was using, I just reached over and just barely touched the outside edge of the frame of the opening of the torch, you know. And I still got a nice burn on my arm. It's like shit. My son calls them chef burns, so I'm like, yeah, hey kid, I got another chef burn at work today. And he's 10. He loves to cook, so he's always like, hey dad, I got a chef burn today. I'm like, awesome, dude. Congrats.
Yeah, the metal ones and the graphite burns are really bad too.
Oh man, fucking graphite, dude. I have probably honestly gotten my most like heavy burns on the bench from grabbing a hot reamer or some dumb shit like that, or like touching my marber pad.
Edge of your pad. Yeah.
Fuck. And I can't imagine what you're doing those Millies, man. I mean, I know like I do some big shit too, but like a big giant chunk of hot fucking glass on a marver, that marver is sucking up some heat.
Oh yeah, it gets super hot, and the radiant heat just from the like working the Millie itself right there is just like the surrounding area, everything in it, any glass rod that like, even if it hasn't been in the flame, if it's like near where you're working the Millie, you pick it up, it's like pretty hot. Yeah,
that reminds me. I wanted to ask you earlier. Do you wear any kind of protection or anything when you're doing besides your glasses and shit when you're doing your Millies?
Usually just like a sweater, just to like keep my it like actually does help to have another layer rather than less clothes.
Yeah.
I know Dapo works in a t-shirt, which I turn into like lobster man basically if I just don't wear enough stuff. I don't wear gloves. I wish I could, but I just like don't like the feeling. But I know a lot of people do wear gloves, and it helps you like be able to work in closer to the Millie and longer. And all that stuff is good.
Cool.
Face mask. I played around with the face mask for a while. It's really good and helpful, especially like if the Millie gets really big. But towards the end of the pull, I usually take it off just because it's easier to like read the heat pace.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have a blast shield for your torch?
I did, but I broke it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know they sell replacements, but same thing. Like that thing would get really hot, and I'd end up touching it. And
yeah.
I don't know. Kind of just got used to working without it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Cool. Let's see. We got that. You have any glass blowing themed tattoos?
I do. I only have 2 tattoos. I have this while I was in Australia on that last trip. I got Homer Simpson holding like one of my music Sherlocks.
Nice.
Got a little drool coming out of his mouth. It was a little, spur of the moment decision, but it was like a cool artist I follow on Instagram, and she like posted while I was in Australia that she had an opening, so I was like, yeah, why not,
Hell yeah. That's fun.
What about you?
Yeah, actually I have my Carlisle on my arm. I have like a whole space sleeve, and I had the Carlisle turn into a rocket ship, so the flames are actually coming out of the back ports of the oxygen and propane valves, and then I have like a little dome on top and a little alien sitting inside the dome flying through space.
Huh. Cool.
Yeah, something different.
So it's like not just like a torch, it's like your spin on it,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I people that do glass, they know what it is right away, but then like people that don't, they ask about it. I'm like, yeah, this is what I do, and then they see my torch I'm working on, and then they put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've done a couple like demos and stuff at like festivals or music things, and people always like come up to you and they're like if you're not working on it, they're like, what is that? And my one friend that I would do them a lot with would always just be like, oh, it's a rocket ship, or like it's from space, like because the GTTs are all like rocket looking.
Oh yeah, they're super gnarly looking technology wise, especially all the guys that are getting them like powder coated and specialized with like rolled in fucking opals and all kind of crazy shit.
Yeah, they look crazy.
Yeah,
and it's like, but yeah, there's sometimes it's a rocket ship type space feeling.
Hell yeah. Yes, sir. So when you are in the studio, do you listen to the radio, watch TV, or do you do both?
I do both. I like podcasts a lot, and so I would listen to podcasts. I'll get in as early as I can while nobody's there, listen to a podcast, and then as people come in, like you put on music or whatever, like everybody's into, and both. Keep it interesting. TV, I like watching TV, but it's hard to like keep yourself from looking up at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I watch a lot of shit that I've seen 1,000 times, so I can like watch it in my head.
Listen,
listen to it. Yeah, there's certain things I won't watch while I'm working because I am like that. I want to like look at the screen and see what's going on. Like I used to do a lot of watch a lot of Japanese, anime or even like samurai movies.
Subtitles.
Yeah, totally. So I started making sure I got the ones that had like the English dub over it, so I can actually just listen to it and occasionally glance over. But some of those films are like the actual like samurai movies. Like there was one that was, I think it was called House of a Thousand Gardens or something like that. Not House of a Thousand Corpses, but it was something like that nature, but Japanese. And it was so beautifully done, like cinematically wise. I was like, I had to turn my torch off and just sit and watch it because it was breathtaking,
Right. Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than getting all baked out and you walk out in your shop and put a movie on. Next thing you know, 3 hours have gone by and you haven't turned your torch on yet.
You're watching It Man all day.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude, I love that fucking movie.
Oh, yes. It's really cool.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, so I try and avoid TV. I watch TV while I cold work a lot. But while I'm on the torch, usually just podcasts, audiobooks, and music.
Hell yeah. Well, speaking of audiobooks, you can get a free 30-day trial at audibletrial.com/wiseguy radio.
There you go.
Yeah, how about that? Get a first audiobook for free. Just got to throw that plug in there. What podcast you listen to?
I like, Joe Rogan's. I like, there's like, some more educational ones, like the TED Talks and stuff. And Pete Holmes, he's a comedian. He has a really funny one. Hannibal Buress has one. I'm totally forgetting her name. The girl from Broad City has one about art. It's actually really cool. She goes to a bunch of different museums with guests.
Cool.
Oh, what's her name? I forgot her name, but it's called A Piece of Work is the name of the podcast, and it's a really good one. I recommend it.
Hell yeah. Have you listened to Hardcore History?
I have. That's Dan.
Yeah, Dan Carlin.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are great.
I've listened to a few episodes. Yeah, those are really good. Yeah. It's like, you're listening to a story. You're also learning about history.
Yeah, and it's like 8 hours long. It's...
Right. Next thing you know, you got a full count.
Yeah, exactly, dude. You learn about World War II. That dude, he amazes me the way he tells a story and like his way, like he just just talks and his way he reads things. And I've always wanted to listen to him like read like a Aesop's fable or a children's book of some sort. Just he's just so intriguing. Just listening to him talk. Yeah.
Actually, there's short stories with. Damn, I'm really bad at names. If you couldn't tell.
Oh, dude, I'm the same way. It's all
good. It's on the top charts. But yeah, there's a famous children's book. Somebody that read a lot of children's books just started doing like adult short stories, and it's not like adult, but just like short stories, and it's really cool every week.
Hell yeah! Have you ever listened to Night Vale?
No, what's that?
It's the strangest storytelling show I've heard yet. It's basically it takes place in this town called Night Vale, and it's completely it's hard to describe, but basically the premise is that you're listening to the local DJ of the town. He does like the local news and weather and traffic and stuff like that, but behind the scenes, there's always something going on in the town. He has like local people coming in and talking on the show and stuff. But it's like, it's so fucking out. I can't even describe it. It's so out there. But like, for instance, he'll do like, now it's time for the weather, and they'll play music instead. Like they'll put a band on and play music.
Nice.
Or like they'll talk about like the local community bulletin board, and like there was one episode where he starts off and he's like, okay, so the local community center wants you to memorize these words, and he reads off like 20 words, and then they have like the show goes on, and at the very end of it he's like, oh, breaking news, we're told that if you memorize those words you will be blah blah blah, like something bad will happen to you. And there's like this dog park in the town that you're not allowed to go to because it's like a dimensional portal to this other thing. Like, it's just all kind of weird fucking shit goes on in this town. But the way that the story and the writing is done, it's so good and so intriguing that you can't help but like just listen to every. I always start off with episode 1. I think they've got like 5 seasons now. But just listen, because you gotta like kind of like get into it. You can pick up anywhere in the seasons per se, but I recommend going back all the way to number 1 and just like listening through the evolution of the show. It's gotten to a point where the show became so popular that they've launched 4 other podcasts that are stories. And they're all just like interesting, weird stories that they tell, and they have a live show that they do now. It's just all kind of cool stuff that's come out of this podcast. It's just fascinating stuff. But yeah, welcome
cool.
to Night Vale. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, it's fun. It'll make you cringe and laugh and question yourself. It's like, what are these people on? It's interesting.
Yeah, cool. That's what I like.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, man. So the last question I always like to ask is, which I've changed here in the last couple months, but it's what are your 5 favorite tools besides your glasses and your torch?
5 favorite tools. Butter knife, the graphite one, is like, that is basically the tool I use to make most of my shapes in my Millies, like the contours, and so I go through like those guys pretty quickly. I use them in the flame and abuse them, and
hell yeah,
get whatever I need out of it. The paddles, I love like my big paddle for like rounding out the Millie. I L-marver a lot, like shaping my tubes more than I'd like to.
Mm-hmm.
So I use my L-marver, my jacks, which I just lost at Melt, unfortunately.
Oh fuck, that sucks.
Yeah, I'm like bad about like hopping around from bench to bench and leaving tools in places, and not blaming anybody, of course. That everybody there was very, very respectful, and nobody had anything like stolen or anything.
Right.
But I just like leave things places, and yeah, so I was a little upset about that. So I think that was 4.
Yep.
Let's see, my last favorite tool. I guess the finishing tool, because it's always a good thing when you're at that part.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man, something I've always recommended is for people to use electric tape or some kind of, because there's so many different colors nowadays, just like to wrap your handles with electric tape. Just pick color or duct tape even,
Yeah, I did have all my stuff marked from Salem. I like etched it. They have a little Dremel there because it's a common thing when you're like going in and out of the Salem classroom every day, like packing up, leaving stuff places.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they have like a little etcher you get to etch all your names in.
Cool.
So maybe it'll turn up one day, but for now I'll just get back to the brass V tool and stuff, and it's good to challenge yourself every once in a while. I'll get a new pair soon.
Yeah. You ever use a spoon ever?
A spoon?
Yeah.
Like to put fruit in or something? Or?
No, just for shaping.
Oh, I haven't.
Yeah, get a spoon. Get one that's got like a round handle on it.
Gotcha.
It's great for convex and contour shapes and pushing and pulling and dragging, and there's all kind of things you can do. Like when I do when I'm doing my character work, if I want to do like their bottom jaw, I'll just like keyed up a little spot and just push into it with my spoon and actually like pull down and move that mass of glass. So not only am I making like the opening of their mouth, but I'm making their bottom lip and jaw at the same time.
Nice. I got like a couple of those dental tools that I use, but I guess that's basically like a bigger version of that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, spoons are good shit.
Sweet.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, before I let you go here, if you want to tell us where we can find you out there all over cyberspace, and then any kind of parting piece of advice as well.
Yeah. Original Topher on Instagram. Topher Morcos on Facebook. I don't really post on Facebook, but yeah, Original Topher on Instagram. Hit me up for pieces or collabs, whatever you want. I love making Millie collabs with people, and it's always hard to find people to make Millies with. So I love teaching how to make Millies. I have been thinking about doing a class, which would be cool. So stay tuned for that. I've taught a couple people to make Millie, and I feel like I'm a better teacher than worker, so that should be fun. And yeah, working on my website, originaltopherglass.com. It is not live yet. But yeah.
Cool.
Parting advice, just have fun with it, and yeah.
Yeah. Good advice.
Thanks. That's pretty much
short and sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome, brother. Well, gonna hang on after I'll say goodbye here. I'll say goodbye off the air. But appreciate you coming on and sharing the knowledge and stuff. And it's a lot of fun having you on here. And again, I look forward to.
Thanks for having me and listening to my rambles.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I ramble all the time too. So it'd be a good episode of Rambles.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode with Topher. You can, again, find him out there on Instagram at Topher's Originals. We'll have all the posts and instance tags and all that good shit in the show notes down below. And until next time, enjoy this episode 175 of the Wise Guy Radio Show, and we'll see you next week. Y'all take it easy. Peace. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by The Flow magazine. Since its inception, the focus of The Flow has been to provide a bond among members of the lampworking community. In every issue, you can enjoy great content with the hottest artists and cutting-edge techniques using the latest industry products. These features, along with the continuation of our Women in Glass edition, Glasscraft Emerging Artist Awards, inspiring gallery showcases, dynamic general interest articles, as well as health and safety information, make The Flow the leading international lampworking journal. For more information or to subscribe to The Flow, go to theflowmagazine.com. That's theflowmagazine.com.